Hi, I'm Bangalas back again with another video for my channel. Today I had gone to see Odyssey. So first I walked a bit, then I got a bus, and then I landed at the spot, not at the spot but one stop later than the designated stoppage, because I somehow got up at the stop. I knew the place, I knew the location, but somehow the bus driver drove me to the next stoppage and didn't stop. So I had to walk back one stoppage, but all was okay after I got the ticket. And then I had to wait for some time after the crew opened the doors, and then I got a seat. It was A24 of the row and the seat number, and the movie started and all was great. It was a masterpiece. The return journey was also smooth. I took an auto and then a bus, and then walked a little bit to my home. Hi, I'm Bangalas back again with another video for my channel, or rather it's also a mixture of both. Today I had gone to see Odyssey, which was released on 17th, and whose chapter 1 read and a short summary I've done. So I watched the movie today, and at 1 p.m. it started in my nearby theater near my home. And it was, here's the review, it was great, like wonderful. The rating was 9.3 already, and I would rate it no less, or rather more even. I would rate it like 9.8 out of 10. Background score marvelous, acting marvelous, the characters like super, and the storytelling was so good. And all the characters, like whatever the casting controversies that you are hearing online, I can say that once you watch this movie, this masterpiece or this beautiful piece, you'll understand that the casting was perfect, and it really comes to sense once you watch it. So I won't tell anything more, and I don't want to spoil it. Please go to the theaters and watch the movie for a great experience. And yeah, watch it on IMAX or something like that. I'll tell you a little bit. It's a little bit of spoiler, and don't watch it if you are going to see the movie, or you can watch it as an inspiration. So the movie actually starts, it actually plays in flashback as Homer wrote it. And we first started with the Telemachus assembly. Telemachus calls an assembly from there. However, Telemachus here doesn't call an assembly, because we see here that Telemachus has not been given that much of power here, which is I think very practical. And the suitors are dominating him very badly, and they're behaving very badly with him, beating up his dog, laying waste with his rations and everything. And that is very beautifully portrayed here, which is absent from the book, where you'll really feel guilty that what happened to the suitors is not right, some of you might say. But here very practically they portray the scene, and at that contemporary times it might have been like that. So the opening starts like that. We see that Queen Penelope is a very strong-willed and very strong woman who is sitting on the throne in the absence of her husband, and is enduring everything. And she is weaving something and undoing her work, which her very trusted servant finally gives out to one of the suitors, and which causes a little bit of trouble. We see that slowly the suitors are taking control of everything, and even she understands, and she tells Telemachus also, that her son also, that 20 years on the throne have given me the experience which the little stubble on your chin, or little bristles on your chin cannot understand. That they are the suitors, because they are also telling that Ithaca's seat shouldn't remain empty for so long, because she was the queen regent, and that she should marry someone because Telemachus is still a child. So she's saying that you are never getting power once I remarry, because they are not going to give you that. And we see that Antonius is proposing to her, and somewhat we are thinking that Robert Pattinson's character is we are really liking him, that yeah, he might be good, but then we see that he is not as we think he is, and he is also having a relationship with the servant, and getting news, inside news of the castle and everything, and slowly how to take over everyone. So they're taking over the servants first, they're throwing out Eumaeus, who was very loyal and whose loyalty they couldn't buy, and they're laying waste of everything, and they are mocking him that your wines are not the best, and Telemachus is telling that you had the best of it since 2 years, but now we have no provisions, are becoming really less. And then we see that the scene shifts to Odysseus with Calypso holding him hostage, or I would rather say that more than holding him hostage, like Calypso really healed him, because he washed up at her shore in a very bad condition, and she nursed him. She fed him some lotus kind of flower, not lotus, which is some other kind of flower, which he used to eat, and which eased his tension, eased his pain, and made him forget momentarily, but it did not change of who he was. So he forgot about his struggles, he forgot about his family, and he was living with Calypso as as her partner. She also fell in love with him while she was caring for him, and we can see that then the gods have decided, this I'm saying from the book, that the gods had decided then at that time, sending Poseidon somewhere away, that Odysseus was to return home, and they had told Calypso about the news, and so Calypso was now preparing Odysseus for his return to home. So she was like, not giving him the lotus and asking him, tell me what you remember, how much you remember, and making him remember. So as he is remembering, we are watching the movie. So it's a very beautiful kind of portrayal of the things, and it won't bore you like that. So we see that the experience of the men inside the horse, how they were stuffed inside the horse, drowned in their piss and shit, and cramped up, and how they were dragged as a gift to Athena to inside Troy after the Trojans had already won the war, and then how they opened the gates of Troy by coming out of that horse and lay waste of the city, and how the Odysseus himself, whose idea it was to do all these things, had finally come to understand that probably it was not the best thing to do. But however, men that time did that, and many cities fell like that. Then we also see that Telemachus secretly making a plan to meet his, to go in search of his father. But he knew that once he goes out, the suitors will kill him, so he does it very secretly, or tries to. However, the suitors gets the news and lays an ambush for him at the temple of Pylos. But he successfully meets Menelaus and Helen of Troy. We see that Helen is already scarred at this site, and she says that in my name you guys fought the war and lay waste of Troy, but was it really for that reason? So they give a hint that it was for trade routes and many other things, that Troy was dominating the other Greek islands, and they had really become powerful. So the Greek Achaeans, the combined Greek nations, had to dominate them. So that's why they plotted against Troy. So we get a hint there, just a hint, that Helen was not really the total villain of everything. But however, we see that Menelaus hushes her off, and then we hear of Agamemnon's death, because Agamemnon had also done something. He won't spoil everything. So his wife and lover had plotted his demise, and we see that Agamemnon's son Orestes had avenged by killing his family also. So that part is there. So Telemachus knows about all this. He also talks a little bit about his father from them. However, he gets no concrete news, and they also tell him that they should make Ithaca strong by bringing in a king. So Menelaus tells him that you become the king and you get strong, but he's still inexperienced, and that's why he is confused of what to do. As he is returning, the suitors ambushes him. Okay, now let's keep it to that and let's go to Odysseus. So Odysseus here is now returning in his ships, and he doesn't follow Agamemnon there, whose ships go this way, and he with his 12 ships go in other way, and he says that we'll see more of the world like this, and also we'll reach home faster. But that doesn't happen. They get blown away from here to there. First they reach the island of Cyclops, and then it blinds his eye with a hot wooden log, and then runs away from there after some of his men are also losing some of his men, and they do not get to bury them, which is a big thing in that time. I think it's a big thing always. So you gotta honor your dead. So they don't get to honor their deads. And then they go to another, they also landed in a village of which they laid waste. They burned all the houses and they took the supplies. And then they went to a land or island, where they heard a child, a little girl or a boy, we don't understand, wearing some armor there. He's standing and he suddenly starts to shout, and the giant army, you can say they're giants, the giant army drops in and drives them away and breaks some of their ships. Now they go to Circe's island. In Circe's island they also had an encounter, and however Circe guides them well, and she tells that what they have to do to go back home, and they also have to go somewhere where, a place. She guides them, like at the end of twilight in a land, they have to give some sacrifice, and the deads will arise there, and they will drink the blood and they will give you news. So Achilles gives them some news, and then Agamemnon gives them some news, and then while other people are coming, the unburied ones, when they rise, they are trying to attack and they are trying to avenge themselves. So they run out. There, Odysseus hears that his men are all going to die from the Siren's song, number one, or from the other calamities and everything. However, during the Siren's song, they put wax in their ears, so they avert that danger. However, some of them jumps off, one or two. That's very little. However, they saves most of them. Then they are attacked by natural calamity. We read as Scylla, Charybdis and everything, or Charybdis, the pronunciation. And then we see that they landing on an island, and where they are not allowed to touch the cattle, and they are eating fruits and veggies, but then they become really annoyed and everything because the winds are not changing courses. So they eat a cattle and the winds suddenly change courses and they go inland into the sea. However, there are so much storm suddenly starts hitting the ship that they have to return back, or there's something happens, and rest Odysseus doesn't remember. So in the book we see that at that time everything went into west, all the men died, and Odysseus should have washed into the shores of King Alcinous and found by Princess Nausicaa, and then nursed by Queen Arete and King Alcinous. However, that doesn't happen here. Here he is found by Calypso and she nurses him back, and then now it's time to go back. So he goes back, and all that time Athena is there with him. Like, he sees her illusion, and he also felt guilty towards her because they burned Athena's temple, and they smuggled the horse in Athena's name only. So he kind of felt guilty a little bit. So then he as a beggar reaches the shores of his own land, Ithaca, meets his son while he was ambushed in the temple of Pylos, saves him and then brings him home, and then Penelope declares a contest because otherwise the suitors won't go. So they do one thing, they lock the doors and they lock the weapons at the upper upper rooms, and they ask them to stand, and they are given a task to string a bow, which only Odysseus can do. and none of them can. And Odysseus, as a beggar, does it, and then everyone realizes that it's Odysseus, and then Odysseus starts, killing them with his bow and arrow. But then somebody from upstairs have gone and dug a hole in that upper room and is dropping weapons, and then it's a massacre. It's like war, it's like fighting and everything, which I do not like. So I was like shutting my eyes and ears and waiting for that to subside. And then we see that Telemachus subdues that man who was dropping weapons up from up there, and finally Odysseus won, and the rest of the suitors who were there, they just bowed down to him and gave their allegiance to him, and he just threw the sword, like no more killings. So the other people acknowledged their king. So everything was happy and peaceful, but we see that according to Zeus's law, now Odysseus cannot be the chief anymore of Ithaca, since he has already, killed many of the suitors. And he did not let Telemachus help him, although he was almost dying, because if Telemachus was exiled, then his future would be lost. So Telemachus became the king in the last, and he and his queen, that is Penelope, they were exiled, and they sailed in a boat with some of their best sailors, chasing the sunset in west, where they decided to honor their men together, the fallen ones together. So this was the story, and beautifully portrayed. I couldn't get any video of the movie, of course, because it's not allowed, and I didn't even try to. So yeah, that's that. And please don't watch this part if you're going to watch it, or you can watch it, because it's a brief summary, which is great, I think. And do watch the movie, because what I said and what I explained is only 1% of the experience that I experienced personally. So you should go to the movie theater and experience it yourself, instead of hearing reviews, or you can hear reviews for inspiration. And I can assure you that it's a 9.8, or you can rate it 10 kind of experience, and watch it in IMAX. And yeah, have a great experience. And do let me know down below in the comments if I was right or wrong. So bye for today. Ciao, this is Bangala signing off. Ta-da.